best podcast in Long Beach, California. This is Tacos and Workouts. What it is. Podcast. Órale, Holmes, it's me, Little Eater, the best podcast in Long Beach. Check it out, dog. We're at the Chicano Hollywood event. Let's go check it out.
Pressure now. Mr. Ogle says talk. I gotta talk. First of all, I got clean and sober 33 years ago, right? And what it was, I used to have to see a lot of psychiatrists out of prison, so because I had a real bad temper. And I was clean and sober for about 6 months, and my psychiatrist told me, what is happening, Steve, that ever happened in your life? And I was a great athlete, so I always hit the home run, struck the guy out. I always had those moments, so that was nothing. When I was 8 years old, I used to stutter a lot. I still stutter, but I stuttered real bad. And they gave me the lead role in a play called Rumpelstiltskin, and I played the lead. And I just stuttered one time, man, And the crowd got up and clapped for me. And my psychiatrist said, well, you gotta be an actor, And so I gave it a shot. I had a mentor. I was very a hard man. I was raised in the guidance, so I was very, very not a nice guy. So what he did was he made me do theater, stand-up comedy, and to break that shell. Because you couldn't look at me in those days. And he said, you gotta be seen, you gotta let people laugh at you, you gotta be vulnerable. And it took a long time, about 2 years, but once I did that, man, it just worked out. I did that at theater, I did 20 stage productions before I did my first TV show. I did stand-up comedy, and it's just easier to smile, man, So the more I smile, the more I work. It's just really weird like that, So just smile,
Thanks, man. Luis?
First of all, I want to thank you for talking about, the fact that you did go to a psychiatrist to deal with, issues and stuff like that. And, we all in our community have to deal with stuff like that day in and day out. So, very proud of you for
it was either that or prison, bro. I had to go.
But you took that step. You took that step.
You still did the hard work, and I know with Luis Mohan, you started as a social worker. Is that correct?
In other words, you want me to, okay. So I was a social worker in New York City on the Lower East Side working with teenagers. And that was my passion, helping our people to help themselves. I will provide them with food.
Yo, Emilio, give him your mic.
Something's wrong with your mic. Let's see if it. Okay.
I can hear myself really well. Okay. So my job was helping young people to enhance their life, take charge of their life. Because the young people that I was helping were between 17 and 21 years old. They were like third, fourth generation from welfare families. And my job was, I always wanted to help them help themselves break that cycle. Acting was nowhere in my radar. I'll go back up a little bit. When I was, I think about 17, 18 years old, I heard about this play called Zootsuit in New York. And it came to New York and it was playing at a theater called the Winter Garden Theater, which is one of the main theaters of Broadway. And I went and I watched this play and I saw this guy playing the character of Pachuco. And I looked at this, and believe it or not, that character, for me, I still have the poster to this day hanging in my office, the original poster. And that character, for me, became like my spiritual guide, because I learned the story about the Zuzu and the riots, and what people here on the West Coast endured back in those days, the racism and stuff. So, when I was a social worker, one day I went out looking for a bunch of kids that didn't show up to my program, something I never did. And I ran into a friend of mine named Miguel Figueroa, who was a playwright, wrote Short Ice. And I hadn't seen Mikey in a few years. He said, yeah, I'm ready for a TV show. And they're coming to New York, why don't you see if we could get a part? I was not dreaming it, thinking it, pursuing it. And so I went in, I waited 3 hours to read 3 lines to Boddington a minute. It was like going to a dentist appointment, because you had to wait for 3 hours to see a dentist. I go in there, and they tell me, kill me with your eyes, and I'm looking at the script, like, oh no, I don't see that anywhere here. She said, kill me with your eyes, I'm going to give you a mean look. She goes, yeah. I give her a mean look, she goes, thank you, boom. All right, I don't know what that was about. Next week I meet the director, producers. 3rd week, I get a call from a guy who said, I'm your agent, and you just booked a season premiere supporting role in a show called Miami Vice. I show up, and who's there? My spiritual guy. You know? That's how I got my start. And I'm gonna tell you people, all I wanted to get out of it was enough money to buy me a used car so I can drive to the beach on the weekend. That's all I wanted. I got the car, my friend totaled it the next day. But here I am, so, you know, thank you for having me.
We all know, I mean, Zeus is an incredible influence on everybody that knows Chicano stories. And you inspiring Luis Guzman already in that. What was the part you got even before Zoot Suit?
First of all, I want to thank every single person that's here for being here, okay? Second, I want to thank everybody that made it possible for this to happen. And especially, this is very important, right? I want you to look at the back here. Where's my list? Give me my list. There they are. I want you to memorize this list. Every time you see them around, I want you to go use it, especially Latin Heat, man. Becca says, all of these people, just City National, everybody that put money into making this thing happen for us. That's who you say thank you to. Because this is just the beginning. Okay, this is the first one. You wait till next year. Next year we're going to need a lot more space and room because it's going to spread like wildfire. Let me just say that, you know, I got to tell you, the one thing I love about this really is the fact that they did bring, you know, Emilio and Luis here. Luis and Emilio are the epitome of truth. Truth is what makes our industry run. Okay, that's why right now the truth is out, and that's why we're on strike. And I say to all of you, I started off, geez, it was such a trip to get here. I'm not kidding you. Look at me well because, you know, hey, I have no natural talent. Not that.
A lot of people would disagree with that.
I'm natural. I'm talking about natural, you know? Everybody thinks we have natural talent. Shit, we worked hard to be where we are. There was nothing natural about this.
Definitely not overnight, yeah.
There was nothing natural about this. This became a lifelong passion and desire to move forward inside of this craft. Now I started off as a dancer and a baseball player, really. I played baseball for many, many years and I was very, very good at it. Everybody thought I was going to be a baseball player. Everybody, my parents, my father, everybody. The coaches, they got very depressed when at 14 years old I hung up my cleats. And I started singing rock and roll. And I'm not kidding you, man. You know, I was 14 years old and I'm singing rock and roll in a rock and roll band in the garage. And there was many garage bands in 1960. That's when I started, and those garage bands ended up being fantastic, man. You know, a lot of really good ones. The Midnighters, everybody. They all started.
Cannibal and the Headhunters.
Yeah. They all started in the garage, man. And so I was going. I graduated from high school, Montebello High School. Yeah. Yo, all right. I'm an Oiler. But what happened was I went to East LA Community College. And while I was there, I took an acting class with a theater right there at East LA Community College in 1964. I'll never forget it, my very first time on. I was doing live theater, you know, I was doing live performances, I was singing rock and roll, but that was different, really, really different, a different experience. So I wanted to get further, I wanted to go deeper into the experience of understanding communication amongst us, like I do right here. I'm looking at you just as much as you're looking at me. You know, I know what this means. I know what this means. I know what this means. And I know what this means. Con la baba cayéndose en la boca. You are giving us, without even knowing it, what you're truly feeling. We know when we're touching you, when we're not. We can see it in your face. You don't think we're seeing you because there's so many people here. You know, but I individually see you as I'm looking across your faces. I see the concerns. I see a lot of people that are just like, wow, man. Wow, this is great. This feels really good. This feels really good. Because it's us. It's us helping us. And I gotta tell you, when I got into that stage, and the first performance I ever did was the damn teacher calls me up and down. I mean, I already performed in front of people, so it wasn't like I was foreign to standing up in front of people. But in a theater, it's a whole different space. And then to ask you to do something and perform, you know, avant-garde, you know, just free flow here. And he said, just get up there and say or do anything. Each one of us, there was about maybe 12 or 15 people in the class. And I'm sitting there going, Jesus Christ, this is embarrassing. You know, what am I going to do? You know, what's going on here? And so I said, okay. So I did my first performance. I'll never forget. From that moment on, I never left the stage again. I continued to perform as a rock and roll singer, but my storytelling became much better on the stage. And then pretty soon, I became the storyteller. That I can make you understand yourself by me doing something, and then I can see it in your face, that you understood what I did, and that it got to you. And that's what you try to do. You try to move people with your art. And we're storytellers, all three of us, man. This guy's, man, the first time I ever worked with I worked with this guy. I guess it was the very first time we did a television program. Was that what you're saying? Miami Vice?
Yeah.
Miami Vice.
I was 30 years old when I did Miami Vice.
And I remember coming up to you. I remember talking with you. We hung out. I hung out with every single actor that came to play with us over there in Miami, because the other two guys were kind of weird.
I want to tell you a story about one of those guys. The very first tape that I did on Miami Vice was at the World Trade Center. What did I do? I'm not trained. The director yells, cut. Don Johnson walks off, goes back to his trailer. The director, Paul Michael Glazier, comes up to me and goes, yo, you see this? This is his life. Don't step in his life. And I go, I stepped in his life. I did that. And he walked in his trailer because I stepped in his life. That was like my introduction.
That's a truth, I gotta tell you, man. I mean, it's crazy. The The first concert in, the first scene I ever did with that man who came on that program, he walked up and he said to me, "Don't open that can of worms with me, Eddie." And he walked out of the room and stayed in his trailer for 6 hours. And that's then I'm on the stage and everybody just kind of slowly walks away and they start going different places. I just got there, it was the first day I was there. I got the job the night before. I had no idea. I created the character on the airplane flying into Miami, you know, and I designed the whole thing. But I had many years of training. And by this time I had already done it by Pachuco, so he was fucking with it. Pachuco.
Right. And I said, because I had your back, Papi.
What's that?
I had your back
Oh,
when I
yeah, you
showed
did.
up.
Oh, yeah.
I got to interject on this right here because it's something I learned on the very first gig I ever got, man. You know, when in '92 I booked a show called Renegade with Lorenzo Lamas, right? And my first gig was a big gig, man. You know, guest starring role, and they gave me this huge trailer, man. I was tripping out, right? So back then I used to smoke a lot. Right? And flowers and cigarettes, you know. I was really keen and sober, man.
You make sure you clarify.
So I'm sitting on my stoop, man. I'm smoking a cigarette, and this some Chicano comes up to me, right? He's going, "Wow, bro, this is badass, bro. How'd you do this? Like this, use a background." Now, so I go, "Bro, I did." I started telling him how it went down, right? And then the guy that was just starting with me was next door. So he comes out and goes, "Hey, bro, let's take a walk." So I excuse myself. I got up and started walking, right? And then he tells me, "Fucking the extras want to talk to us." See, I didn't know there was a hierarchy because I'm in theater. If you played a tree, you were part of the ensemble. You did? So that's all I knew. So that's all I knew, right? So then I started thinking, am I doing this wrong? You know, I didn't know, right? And I go back, smoke another flower, and then the star of the show was Lorenzo Lamas, but his number 2 on the show was Branscombe Richmond. If you saw him, you know who he is. Anyway, he comes in and he's like, "Good morning, everybody." He starts hugging everybody, right? And there was a Chicana sweeping the honey wagons, right? And he goes, "Here, let me help you with that." And he got the dustpan. He went down on his knees, man. It was a nice one. He was like this, and and then he put in the trash can for her, and he hugged her. Now, I just got this guy that tells me we don't talk to extras. And I got the leader of the show hugging this lady, helping with dust, and I said, "I want to be that guy." And I've been that guy 32 years, man. You get what I'm saying? You ain't better than nobody, man. You're the truth.
I trust in that story, but you know, all of you came from the theater. I know a lot of you out there, and in terms of craft and training, and all of you have said that it's not built overnight. It's not natural ability. It is craft. It is taking classes. It is learning. It's learning on the job and adjusting, especially going from theater to film and television. Like, I mean, you guys have been thrown into lions and have to figure it out because there's so many egos involved sometimes. It's easy to offend somebody. But I love that story that you just told because that's what we need more of on set. Our own, taking in our own and saying, "Hey, this is how it's done. This is how it's going to do. I know I'm the star and you're just an extra, but you know I'm going to reach out and show you how to get there." We have 3 men that have been doing that for their entire career. I want to absolutely. I wanted to ask you guys because I know. This is probably something that we've all experienced, and I'm sure you've experienced too. When you decided to pursue a career in the arts, who were the people, you don't have to name names, but were there people that discouraged you, that were close to you, and how did you deal with that? I'm speaking mostly in family. I know growing up in a Latino family, like the arts isn't considered a viable career, you know, and so it was like kind of having to do something without the approval of your parents and without them being proud of you. Until, of course, you start making money and getting notoriety, then they all kind of turn around. But who were the people that discouraged you? How did you guys deal with that discouragement in your careers?
Well, my mother discouraged me because she wanted me to have a 9-to-5 job. She was always a cautious woman. she was saying to me, you have a 9 to 5, you're stable. And I'll be honest with you, after I did Miami Vice, I still went back to social working because that was my passion. I did it for 5 years. And acting was just a hobby for me initially because it was a way for me to subsidize my salary. But back in those days, you worked for 1 day, you got paid $1,500. That was like a lot of money, you know? But it was my mom, and God bless her, my mom's 84 years old. She just retired and she was 83 from working in the hospital. But over the years, every time I would go visit her, I was like a trophy. Mira, está mi hijo aquí, el actor. Come on, Mom. You know, but mom, little by little, she just really developed the pride. But she was the first one that said, "You really want to do that?" And I go, "Let's see what happens." So, once again, here I am.
And Emilio, who was the person that discouraged you, or did you have anyone discourage you? Was everyone real supportive?
Rather not talk about it, man, because then I'll be crying. You're gonna be crying. It's gonna be a crying fest. It's gonna be all fucked up, man.
I know, brother. Okay, we can move on, brother. We can move on. Yeah, no, I appreciate that because it is hard. You know, when you have someone discourage you, you're trying to do something in our business that's vulnerable, that exposes yourself. If you're doing it as good as these gentlemen,
But anybody gives you any discouragement, man, fuck them. Just keep going. Acting saved my life, man. Acting gave me an out. It gave me an out because this was my out all my life. This was my out because I was allowed to cry. You dig what I'm saying? So I heard a lot of people mentioning it physically. Now I could do it for fun and nobody got hurt. You dig? Y'all could. We love each other. It's all good, man. You know.
Eddie, when you were first starting out, did you have anybody that was telling you, you know, don't, this isn't a viable thing, you shouldn't be doing this, or you don't have talent? Like, did you get any of that?
Yeah, you get that from your family. They're the ones who most give it to you because they're afraid. They're afraid for you. You know, they want you to get an education. They want you to get 9 to 5 jobs, have security. And my father, God rest his soul, wonderful human being, and really, really was amazing. On his deathbed at the age of 75, 74, going to be 75, his last thing he said to me, he looks at me and he says, now, this was back maybe about 20 years ago, maybe a little less than that, maybe even. And you know, I had already won the Academy Award and nomination, had won a lot of accolades and done incredible work in my life, and people held me in high esteem. He looks at me, and this is the final thing he says to me. He says, and I'm looking at him, and he's dying there in the bed. He says, "Get a job."
There you go. Edward James almost
That is
told him
not
to get a job.
That is not. That's a truth that I had to live with my whole life. When he died, and I looked at him as I'm crying, and I'm looking at him, and I know this is it. This is not. And I said, "Don't worry, Dad. I'll get a job. I promise you. I'll get a job." As I'm crying, you know, it was very difficult. No, they had, oh man, come on. Being an actor or a rock and roll singer and coming out of East LA, going to first in Indiana, La Primera, great. I mean, there's no way. I mean, even Anthony Quinn wasn't born there. Anthony was born in Mexico, but he would, you know, he lived on Hubbard, right there, and he's still right by Brooklyn. Now it's just like Chavez Avenue and First Street. But I gotta tell you, you have an unbelievable moment in time right here, right now. If you can grasp the understanding, if you can honestly grasp the understanding and face yourself, understand this. We have a choice, and we're going to make that choice. No one else is. But you have to understand that the truth is what makes you live. Live your truths. If you're an artist, it comes streaking through. It touches everything. Don't give yourself up to nothing less than the passion and the love that you have for others and yourself. Because the most important aspect of this life is for us to help each other. You know, there's nothing more to, you know, I'll never forget, I just heard this lady talking a couple of days ago, and I was like, wow. But I'll never forget, I was at the, Cesar Chavez had asked me to come and speak in 1978. I was doing Jutsu on stage here, and he asked me to come and speak at the conference, migrant workers conference, and he said, you know, speak and come for the kids, for everybody. I mean, I was very strong. I mean, at that point, the whole world had caught a hold of the character and who I was. And so it was a shot around the world, so I become who I am today. Right? And I went there and I said to them, and as I say to you, this is something that I feel with all my heart. Okay? I am African first, Asian second, indigenous third, mixed with my Caucasianness, and that's what makes me brown. Okay? That's who I am. Well, I said that at that conference, and the kids in the front rows were 12, 11, 12, 13, and like many of you right now are saying, what the hell is this all about? And then I can see their face. They did the same thing, only they said, we're not African. They started spitting. All right? And I was 31 years old. I wasn't an old guy. I wasn't mature in any way. I guess I said the wrong thing. I was trying to unite us as people, as human beings. To unite us because our future is in our hands. We control the future. You guys right in here, us, we do. Not the Caucasian. He doesn't have a chance. There's not enough of them.
You know, I just want to add on to that.
And that's what scares them. It scares them. And therefore, we have to really understand how to unite. So I would start this off by saying we have to give love and understanding and help to others, and then help yourself and love yourself, which is very, very strong and very important. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
I was going to say that I remember when I first started, one of the things I used to do, I used to look around to see how many brown people were working. And we were the ones that were taking out the black garbage bags, doing the craft services and stuff, you know. I didn't see hardly any cameramen, sound people, gaffers, makeup artists, and stuff like that. And I was always proactive at encouraging our people, yo, we can do this too, we belong, you know? We have stories. We have beautiful stories. We have beautiful culture with music, fashion. Forget about the cooking, we all know about that. But I always wanted us to take things to a next level of us being the producers, the directors, the guys that said, I'm gonna agree like this. You see, because I got really tired of a bunch of old white guys in Hollywood telling us about who we are when they had no clue who we are. And that's something, Eddie was always very outspoken about that, and I admired him for that. I was outspoken about that, because it's like, you know, I'm tired of us being treated like third-class citizens, because we're not. We're not. We belong. We're very talented. But at the same time, we gotta back each other up, 100%. You know, if something comes out, we gotta, especially nowadays with social media, we gotta like really give each other a boost. See, we gotta humble ourselves like that, because you know we're a huge part of this country, and we're a huge part of the world. I mean, listen, right now, reggaeton is the top of music, you know, well, bookies are the top of music, you know, and we do have now great Latino directors, we have more and more great Latino actors, but again, we want to position ourselves that we can support each other, that we can finance our own projects and get them out there. Because I'm not gonna wait for somebody that does not understand who we are and where we come from to say, okay, so what does that word mean again? You know, because let me tell you, I've been in a situation, I'll be real quick. One time, they gave me I was doing a show, and I had to say all these things in Spanish. And I read the stuff, I go, who the hell wrote this in Spanish? But it's all wrong. I go into the writer's room, it's a whole bunch of white guys. And I go, who wrote this? Like a little guy in the corner, he raises his hand. I said, what do you know about Spanish? And he goes, I Googled it. And I go, cabrón. You know, so we're better than that, because we do have talent. And there's like a lot of talent here right now. You know,
Absolutely.
I got your back if you got my back.
I think a lot of times too, as artists, we're always looking for the next person, right? We're looking for the person who's established to help us in our career. But at an event like this, you're sitting next to that person. You got to build your own and then attract part of who your tribe is. But you have to start building your own. I think a lot of times we look beyond, oh, you have only done short films, you're not a filmmaker I want to work with. I see a lot of that, like they all three of them were saying, the ego is the biggest thing, I think, that keeps us from connecting and creating, and that's all on us. That's not on Hollywood to figure that out.
Can I just
Yeah.
Because you talk about ego, so I get asked, so what's one of my biggest attributes, or you know, what's something that has kept me going in this business, and it's being humble. You know, that's like the biggest gift I have to offer, because I will always take that time to sit down with that young actor, actress, you know, and calm them down and help to guide them and stuff, because it's not about being better than anybody, it's about complimenting the people that you work with and bringing up the future and letting them know, you know what, I'm going to embrace you, and I'm going to nurture you, and I'm going to look out for you. And that's what we have to do, because it's all part of being humble. And the more humble you are, you're going to last a long time, and you're going to open more doors for other people.
And I can definitely, yeah, absolutely. I can definitely vouch for that. Luis did a film called Hold On with a friend of mine, Alvaro Orlando, and he called me up and said, you know, how you embraced him and how much he learned from you, but just how much you made him feel comfortable on set for that film. It was a little film you did with him, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, but that's what we need more of. And I know at the flip side of that question about who discouraged you, but and we all have these moments of, it's a struggle, it's hard. It's a hard business, it's a tough business. Were there times when you guys were in it, and I think it'd be interesting for them to hear, like, where you were like, okay, I'm done.
Okay, wait, I gotta stop you.
Okay.
Let's get on the positive. Because
We know you.
We know what the obstacles were. I think we're beyond the obstacles at this point. I'm not trying to belittle what you're saying to us, but I think we need to talk about, you know, where we are and move forward, because
Sure, absolutely.
many of us here know, we all know what the obstacles were, but we already have spoken about that.
Yeah, and then how would you say then you balance, like, pursuing the arts, but also with all your own families. So all of you have your own families, pursuing the arts and balancing family life with the pursuit of the arts.
For me, my family is first all the time. That's just number one. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to be for you, whether you're in jail or you're laid up in the hospital. Nobody else comes. And I know that firsthand, you know. But yeah, you know, as I gotten older, my circle has gotten smaller, and it works out that way, man. Because I don't need nobody else's drama. I keep drama for myself, you know. So just keep the people around you that of course I have many acquaintances, a lot of people I know and I love. Not necessarily that they mean that they love me. That's just my heart, you know. So, but I know, you know, I pick and choose now, brother. You know what I'm saying? Because they still have their own my family, and not everybody comes to my house. Mr. Olmos comes to my house. I mean, I have different people that come out, but I don't invite everybody. You gotta, as you get older, you gotta be more picky, brother. Because you can't be with people that don't give a shit about what's going on with them or their lives, because they got to lose, and they're going to take you down with me. I can't afford to do that no more. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta tell you one thing. I just want to go back a little bit. You said who discouraged me, but on the flip side, you know, when I was running with the barrio, we used to hang out on the handball courts, and what I would do when I got into acting, all my homeboys would sit down on the handball courts, and I would do my monologues for them, bro. You know what I'm talking about? And I was thinking, when I was getting loaded, thinking, that's pretty good, Holmes, you know? And then, you know what was good about that, man, is that, you know, because I was doing theater, and I exposed them to the theater, man. You know what I'm saying? So you see all these vatos, like, back then in the 80s, it was kind of rough, and then when you shift into the 90s, and I was telling them, look, bro, don't go carving your name in the mirror, don't do all that shit, because you're going to be around people who don't know that. And, you know, because a lot of theater was for the theater people, but the whole back row was always full of my brothers, man. It was beautiful. I'll never forget that. And I gotta tell you, man, when I got in the game, I was kind of shunned, I was not accepted well. And I figured, you know, I thought we're all Latinos, Chicanos, Mexicanos, whatever. But nobody really, maybe because I came in with too much, I think now it's just that I had too much attitude, you know? But I always, like if there was a role that would fit me, I would call the actors that I knew that looked like me, say, hey, bro, go up this. And they would trip out because they go, why are you telling me? I go, well, if I don't get it, at least you'll get it. You know, I was always that way. I go, brother, I do this episode, they're gonna kill me this week, you get killed the next week. You know what I'm talking about? It's all work. And with that attitude that I had, I always worked, man. I never stopped working. You dig what I'm saying? Don't be hating on nobody. The more you love your fellow actor, your fellow man, it really works, man. You know, there's some people here that I know, you know, and I remember, like you said, Louis, you know, I used to be the leader of a gang with a cartel, whatever, and they always had like white dudes dressed up like cholos, right, or gangsters, and I would look at them and I'd say, and I would position them, bro, like I didn't want them to be seen next to me, you know? I mean, not in a bad way. They wasn't, it's not the way it is, because I lived it, you dig? And then 8 years into the game, I was doing a show called Titus, and then I met Manny Jimenez, you know? And Suspect Entertainment, before it was Suspect. But he had his guys, you know? And they were like cholos, like real guys, you know? And I go, oh, I like this, oh, this is good. So I got Manny in the front, I put everybody that was Sticker with me. So it could look authentic, you know? And then Manny comes up to me and goes, hey bro, I'm starting this thing, can you help me out? I go, I can't go to your meetings, but send your guys you think got potential to my house. And Manny used to send like 10 guys to my house at a time, the ones that I knew that were gonna be okay, you know? And then I remember one time we went to Toluca Lake, I was coming back from my agents, and Manny was going to an audition. And he sees me, man, I know Manny's somewhere over here, and he sees me, well yeah, Manny, you remember, I remember your story, man. And he sees me, pulling up, I come to the red light, and he honks the horn, and I look, he goes, what's happening? He goes, pull over, so I pull over, he goes, hey brother, I'm going to an audition right now, can you help me out? I go, fuck yeah, pull it over, homie. We pulled it over, we studied, I gave him some notes, and he got the job, man. That's how you gotta be from the heart. Don't hate, man. The more you open your heart, the more. I know it's cliche, but it's true when it comes from the heart, man. You dig?
If it's all right, I would like to open it up and let them ask questions.
Questions, sure, absolutely. Wendy, do we have a mic out there?
Do we have the mics out there? And if not, just
Mics
raise your
are-
hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand and walk out to the mic.
All right, we're gonna have some questions.
Ready to go?
Right over here.
Can you tell us what you do?
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Go ahead.
Hey guys, my name is Ruby Butrese. I'm an artist from Los Angeles, and I have to say, hearing your stories is extremely compelling to a young artist myself. I'd like to know from each one of the panel, what is your favorite project that you worked on? What was the film that you loved that project? Film, stage, whatever. Your favorite experience, recollection, etc.
I'll start off. I'm just going to tell you, it's like asking me which one of your 6 kids do you love the most? I mean, it's impossible to choose. I've been so fortunate, as we all have, to be able to experience some extraordinary experiences. I mean, when you start to think, the one movie that I think that most people, when they see it, end up are the most grateful of the work that I've done is The Ballad of Gregorio Cortez. That Stand and Deliver. I mean, more people have seen Stand and Deliver. That has one of the most extraordinary accolades in the world. It is the single most viewed film of any film ever made in the United States of America, in the United States of America. For the last 38 years, teachers all over America have used it in their classrooms. And so millions and millions of teachers use it millions and millions of kids see the movie every year and have for the last 38 years. There's no one movie that has ever been used like that, ever.
Wow, Luis, what was your favorite movie?
Yeah, I have the same dilemma. People ask me, what's your favorite movie? I got too many kids to tell you. But I'll tell you my top 10, because that's as good as it gets. Carlito's Way. The Count of Monte Cristo. Mal de Amores. Q&A. Traffic. A Bone Collector. Oh my God, wait up. Boogie Nights! I'm just gonna leave it there because we don't got enough time for all the rest.
Emilio, how about you?
Hello? Yeah.
Mike's at that.
My favorite movies, nobody saw that I did, But you know what it was? It was the love. There was no money involved. We got $800 a day, but they meant a lot to me. And literally, sometimes we'd have one take. Like, hey, you ready? Because we only got one take or that, And that was Road Dogs, because it was close to me. And the other one was a movie called Never Get Out of the Boat, which was a recovery movie. And I was like the little angel. My name was Angel, and I was a recovery guy in there. That's because those movies really, I was stuff that I went through, really went through. You did. But I gotta say, man, I've been blessed to work a lot over the years. And, by doing the Mayans MC these past 5 years, to see Raza in front and behind the camera was so beautiful to see, man. Because you messed up a line, I say, did I do it right? They go, you did it wrong. So, and they would tell me how to say the word right. The thing is that, and this is, we're always learning, man. And just by doing that show, I learned how to act. Because you see, for the past 26 years, I was going back. Like when I would do a bad scene, I would go back to something in my life that I didn't ever want to see again. But to get there, like let's say I had to argue with him tomorrow, I'd be pissed off the night before. I would be pissed. I come in the morning, I wouldn't even say hi. I would look at him, just give him a fucked up look. When we did our scene, we're done, then I would give him a hug, but then I would go home in a bad mood because I was still thinking about what happened 25 years ago to bring it in today. And Mayans gave me the luxury to learn how to act. So now I could actually go to set, have a good time with the fellas, and then just give me 5 minutes to prepare, and then let's do this. When I was doing Sons of Anarchy for 7 years, I would go in there always mad, and all the guys would, they'd come over, and I would, just the way I was just go on my trailer, I wouldn't talk to nobody. And that was a terrible, I mean, it's method, but method will fuck up your heart too, brother. You did have to be careful.
Learn how to have some more question over here. And if anybody wants to ask a question, we're going to have a line over here so everybody can be in the same spot, okay?
Hello, mi nombre es Elisa Rodriguez. I'm Elisa Rodriguez, and I first of all want to thank each and every one of you so much for being here today. You guys are doing something extremely powerful, and Emilio, you opening up as well like that. We are taught that men aren't supposed to cry, and that's exactly why I'm here. I have my nephew, my little boy that I adopted right here, sitting in the table, and this is exactly what I was trying to teach him. So to have you guys speak that raw in front of my son that I'm trying to get him away from stuff like that, thank you so much to all of you. That's all I wanted to say. It's very powerful what you're doing. Very powerful.
There you go, I'm gonna tell you, brother, when I first got my first mentor, you know what he would do? You know what my acting class was for the first 6 months? He'd put me in a room and let me cry for an hour. Then I should go, because I gotta humanize you before I make you an actor, because I was not human. You're human, you cry, homeboy.
My name is Abel Rodriguez, and I've been a friend with Edward James Olmos since 1981. When he came to El Paso, because of Norman Lear and people asking, he put the Ballad of Gregorio Cortez up on the big screen to let them know that we would follow our stories. How important was that? And I've been friends with him ever since, and I just want you guys to know that look what's happening. We were talking about this kind of stuff, all the young people, I will tell you, we were talking like this in 1981, correct? We sure were. And now you guys are here, you're the future, and I'm at an age now where I just want to back you guys up, but I still want to be touching that beautiful brown elephant that we are. We're huge, we're here, and we got our stories.
Thank you, Robert. I have to say about that, what he just said about Gregorio Cortez, because last week or 2 weeks ago, I saw 3 Latino films: Blue Beetle, American Homeboy, which is Four-Walled, it was an independent documentary on Chicano culture, and then I also saw A Million Miles Away, which is about a Latino astronaut, migrant astronaut. These are the stories that just got made and released last week. But with Gregorio Cortez, I wanted to know if Edward could talk about how you guys Four-Walled and how you had to really just go from theater to theater because they didn't want to distribute it. Could you talk a little bit about the distribution of that film?
Yeah, the distribution was one in which there was no distribution for the film. So we walked in and we would put it up in theaters. We would rent the theater and show one performance like at 10 o'clock in the morning when a theater they'd give you the theater, for like $250. They didn't have any movies playing, and they'd open the concession stands and they'd make a lot of money because we liked our popcorn. So, people would come and they would come and see the movie, and slowly but surely the word of mouth got out on the picture and it became a major part of our history. A lot of you have seen it. I really want to see if I could re-release it. I would like you to see it. I would love for you to see it in the theater on the big screen, because that's where it really belongs and it works really well. But yeah, we walked it around literally from place to place to place to place.
Yeah, and that is still possible now with you when you create something. And the reason why I wanted to bring that story up is for all the filmmakers out there who are wondering, well, how am I going to get my film on the screen? Because of all those streamers, and it is still possible, and that's the way you do it because of communities that supported that film back then. It managed to get heat, and now it's a legend movie. It's been around forever. Let's get another question.
Oh, hi everyone. Hi, my name is Diana. I'm an actress and comedian. I do stand-up. I moved to Los Angeles 2 years ago to
give it my all, and live my art. What is your best advice for somebody who's really trying to break out into the entertainment business right now?
Okay, this is a free consultation. No, you know, you just gotta really stick with it. You gotta believe in yourself. You gotta put in the work. You gotta be patient. It's not about being better than anybody. It's about complimenting the people that you're gonna work with. Just showing up on time, asking good questions, being prepared, and I'll say it again, absolutely believing in yourself.
You know, whenever you audition, read it the way it's written, right? And then throw a curve at it, man. You dig? Always do something different because these people are watching these tapes, 50 and the same shit over and over again. Also, you do it, even if you put a space here, make it own shit, make it up. Stay in the context, but switch it up. Make a pause right here. Make this question a statement instead.
You know,
do that. You know?
I want to say add to that, but I remember very early on when I used to audition.
That was the question I had for you.
I would go in, I went to this one audition very early on in my career, and when I got there were like 10 guys sitting outside waiting, and I looked at all these 10 guys, oh my God, I see this guy, and this, I see this guy, and that. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get the part. No way, because these guys are made for it. And man, I sat outside, and every guy that went in was like, all the way up here. And you could hear it in the hallway. So there were like 3 guys left. They called me and said, no, take these other guys. And they all went in and they all did the same thing. And it was like, you just had to be menacing. That's what they wanted. So I went in. I was the last guy, but I wanted to be the last guy. And basically, I just had a conversation. I didn't even raise my voice. But the lesson was, you don't have to be big to be threatened. You just have to be real. You know? And that's like what I mentioned. Like, every time I used to read something for the first time, like, I'm going to read this like I think 100 guys are going to read it. And then I'm going to kick it out of my system and I'm going to make it my own. And that's what you got to do, you know, because it's like, as an actor, as a real human being, you know how to cry, you know how to laugh, you know what makes you feel good, you know what makes you feel angry. You don't have to act those things because you live those things. And those are the tools that you use. You see, because it's like, you know, I see people cry. It's like, come on, man, you're not crying. You make me, you know, give me something emotional. But that's my approach, you know. So it's about what's going to be different about you. You know, that 100 people are going to do the same thing, but what are you going to do to be different?
When did you, since you brought that, like you said, you don't audition anymore. For all of you, though, that are established, when was the first offer you got? Do you remember your first offer where you didn't have to audition, where it just came to you?
Okay. So I live in Vermont. I live in the country. I adopted 4 kids I did not want to raise in New York City. I took them out and bought a farm. I get a phone call from my agent one day. Yo, I got a call from this casting director. She thinks you're great for the part. You know, it's your part. But I had to drive 3 hours into New York to go audition. I go, bro, if you're telling me all this, just get the director on the phone. Let me talk to the director. Oh, I don't think that's a good idea. Bro, get the phone. Get the director on the phone and have him call me. The director called me the next day. We spoke for an hour. Okay? 55 minutes of that hour was like, wow, I can't believe you can live on the farm. wow. The family, we used to go away to some on the farm. And it's like, wow, what a great life. The last 5 minutes of the conversation, oh yes. Would you please do my movie? And I go, yeah. And that was the last time I ever auditioned.
I'd love for you, Eddie. It was the first offer you got where there was no audition, just a straight up offer.
Again, I've been very fortunate with the way that my career evolved, but look at, I said at the very beginning, I have no natural talent at all. Okay? I'm not naturally gifted. I did not come out of my mother's womb saying to be or not to be. I took a very, very slow journey to get to this point, and I'm very grateful because the journey was the best part. You know, and struggle to me is like the gift. Once you've made it, it gets hard to sustain a sense of credibility inside of craft and art form. The stronger you are, the more that you feel you have to find yourself more. And so that every time you make a new character, do a new part, you really dive into it as much as you can. But the last time that I auditioned was just before I did Zoot Suit. Zoot Suit was my last audition. That was it. Now, I had worked from 1964 to 1978 for 14 years in theater in Los Angeles. Okay? And I was a big rock and roll singing on the Sunset Strip. You saw it with the Galaxy at different places on the Sunset Strip. And I was working and doing theater and going to school. I was going to East LA Community College, and I went to Cal State LA. And you know, it was crazy. I was just wacko. But one of the things I will tell you, remember I said I wasn't naturally gifted and I wasn't naturally talented. What I will say is that I would, to this day, right now, 7 days a week, you must understand your craft and your passion. You must understand it. Either you talk about it, like we're doing right now, or you read about it, or you do it. Okay? But you have to participate in that craft every single day. It's not a 5-day thing and take a day off and go out swimming and go have a great time at the park. You have to take your craft with you, so when you're out there swimming, when you're out there at the park, you're still inside of understanding now, wow, look at the way that person walks. I can use that one day. No, I can't. It's an incredible look, that the way that person is moving, and then another person, in other words, you're constantly inside of your craft, and you're looking at it. So as a comedian, okay, as a person, it's the hardest, that's the hardest, for me, it's the hardest journey to take. To be a really stand-up is just really takes an incredible amount of understanding of yourself to be able to do that, because you're creating at all times. It becomes very spontaneous, you know. And when you really happen, when it's happening, you're not even thinking about it. It's just like you got the audience and the audience has got you, and you're just adding to it, and you don't even know where it's coming from sometimes. It's just as beautiful, you know. I watch Paul work, and I watch George work, and I watch Momo work, and, you know, a bunch of great talent we have. We have some great talent, and I watch them work. But you know, I personally don't know any other way to make it, to be honest with you. And you got to remember, making it is what is success? No, that's what you really got to put your finger on it. Is success getting a job, or is success being able to that day when you go to do that work, you do it, you really perform, you're auditioning or you're doing a theater piece and no one's in the audience, but you really work, you do it. And you like yourself for it, you feel stronger every day. And I'll tell you, the only people I know that don't make it in this business are the ones who quit. The only ones. I have so many friends that are viejitos that are hitting it now stronger than ever. And they should be, because they're brilliant. They're excellent artists. They're great craftsmen. And, again, like I said, once I did Zoot Suit, I never auditioned again, because basically, when they called me up, they were calling me up to help them do something that they needed, and that they wanted me to help them. And I remember the very first thing I did after Zoot Suit, or while I was working on Zoot Suit actually, was Wolf with Albert Finney and myself. I played a Mohawk Idiot. Tremendous movie. If you ever get a chance to see it, you should. It's really a strong piece of work. And then right after that, I did Blade Runner. Imagine walking in to talk with Ridley Scott, okay? Go into the walk, because I always meet the directors. And you always meet the directors. That's not auditioning. That's really getting to really feel comfortable, because you're gonna have to work with this person. You have to be able to relate to this person. And this is the person who's gonna be directing you in the situation. And so I'll never forget that. And boy, that character just took off. Just the same way with everything I did after that. I've had creative control of my characters since Zoot Suit. That's all I could tell you.
I want to tell you guys a story that happened to me doing an audition. I go in, I'm reading, and the casting director goes, could you be a little more Latino? And I really was insulted by that. I said, can you give me an example of what you mean by that? She couldn't say anything. I said, thank you. I walked out. I still got the part.
There it is. My first offer ever was for the movie Road Dogs. There's been, after that, there's been many offers and, auditions in between that. But sometimes, man, and I've learned this, I'm always learning, man. They called me for a movie called Venom, and I didn't know what Venom was, and so my son goes, bro, that's Dad, that's a nice, like a creature. Comic book? Yeah, comic book, yeah. And then so my agent gives me the description, and I go, it's a security guard, and I go, okay, Tom, make an offer. I'm not going to audition for that. It's like three scenes, and they said, yeah, they want you, but they want you to go read. And I go, well, Tom, I'm not going to read. I'm not, just offer it to me. I could pay a security guard, And then they called again, and they said, they really want to see you. I go, who's the scene with? And they go, Tom Hardy. I said, I'll go audition. So, but what happened is this, I went in there, did the audition, and before I got to the car, they hired me. So it was more like a formality. So you got to reach out how you do that. You did what you turned down and what it is, And so, just like when I did Flaming Hot, I wanted that role. I really wanted that role. Thank you for watching, man. Thank you for watching. But me and Lucho Montañez became friends 12 years ago. We recorded the day, we became good friends. And he said, they're talking about doing the movie of my life. And he goes, and you remind me of my father. I want you to play my father. I go, thanks, that's nice, bro. So then time went on. He goes, the movie's coming closer. He goes, I want you to pay my father. I go, listen, bro, I appreciate you, but when somebody gets that money, they'll get whoever they want to pay the father. That's just the way, that's just Hollywood, you did. So when it all came down to it, before the movie, they called, and they said they want you to audition. And I said, okay, and then he calls me, he goes, hey, brother, I know I want you to audition. And I did, and that's one guy, because it's really hard. They gave him one favor, and that favor was for me to play the dad, and that was so blessed, bro. You know what I'm saying? That guy's a man of his word, bro.
Yeah, next question.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Bustamante, on Instagram. I'm currently the vice chair of El Partido Nacional de la Raza Unida. Hopefully next week, as the first female chair of El Partido since it was established in 1970. I want to know from all of you who have been in the movimiento, who were a part of the Chicano movement, and realize the Chicano movement is still alive today. How do we bridge that gap with activistas and Hollywood actors, actresses, with our artists? How do we bridge that gap so that we make sure everybody stays part of the movimiento?
We gotta stick together. You dig what I'm saying? I'm gonna be honest, you know, like, because we're Latinos, Chicanos, Mexicanos, we're so many different one of us, so we're always think we're one up than the other. We gotta forget about that, man. You dig what I'm saying? So we just gotta stick together, man, you know? That's what I've seen. That's what I've seen.
Next question.
Hello? I'm Nicaraguense, so I can talk loud. So my name is Christina Rodriguez. I'm from San Francisco, I'm Nicaraguense. I'm here representing Latinas with master's degrees. And I would like to know, what advice would you give to Latinos and Latinos who are navigating spaces that weren't designed for us in college? In college, we definitely watched Stand and Deliver like a million times. Where we're the only Latinos in those spaces. We're 4% Latinas with master's degrees. We're under 1% of Latinas with doctorate degrees. And we don't see representation on the screen. And so what advice would you give to us that we don't see representation? We are doing the work, and we're the first generation in our family to get degrees, and it's hard AF, to get these degrees.
Great question. You want to let me answer that one? Well, I grew up in Wilmington. I grew up in the Harbor area, but I went we got Weemos in the house? Really? Wow. Okay. But I went to a private school in Torrance, and so I was the only Chicano there. I didn't fit in there at all. I had too much money for the people I was growing up with, too much money for the people, not enough money for the people I went to school with. So I didn't fit in anywhere. But as I got older, I realized when you don't fit in anywhere, you can fit in anywhere. Because I can have conversations with anybody. It doesn't matter. So, that being said, it's very difficult. It's very difficult when you're the only one. Because nobody's gonna know what you're going through. So it just takes your fortitude. And the thing is, I think that's a question for you because you did it. I think you did it, and the question is, how did you do it? Because you got a master's. That's no easy feat. All right, so another question.
Hi, my name is I'm Rubio. I'm an actor, singer, and a becoming screenwriter. I wanted to ask you guys which role or movie made an impact on your life?
The movie that made me, like I said, Road Dogs and Instagram, never get out of the boat, but you know, after I did the movie Traffic, they just stopped working. Because everybody that was in that cast was just getting called in. Because once that movie came out, they wanted everybody to see those people because it was a great cast, man. So that one changed my life, or it made my easy to get jobs. It's pretty cool.
How about Luis?
Movie that made the biggest impact?
Like, what was the movie that you did that made the biggest impact on your career?
So I did this movie called Confidence, and I was 17 years into the business at that point, and I started watching movies on TV, and it was the first time in 17 years that I ever told myself, wow, Papa, you're good. Because many people will come up to me and compliment me, and I really appreciated that. But I just saw something in that film that I did that convinced me, like I said, that I could finally have the confidence to tell myself, wow, you're an artist, Papa, you're good. Because like I said, it's not about ego, it's about the art, it's about the work. But it took 17 years for me to get to the point that, wow, that was like my wow moment.
Yeah. Again, this is one of those questions again that every role I've done, I've been so fortunate in being able to really have a great feeling when I was done with it. It just felt really strong, very good. And but I would say that probably the ballad Gregorio Cortez is a movie that is way beyond my wildest dreams. I've never been able to duplicate it. It's because the United States Historical Society proclaimed it to be the most authentic Western ever made in the history of film. Now, the United States Historical Society only compliments and accepts documentaries, only books written. The Historical Society does not take fiction and proclaim it to be historically accurate. You can't do a fictionalized movie and think you're going to get the accolade of being, authentic to the point of it becomes a historical document, something that becomes everyone that wants to see anything that has to do with that situation. You read this book or you watch this documentary, and it's all dealing with truths. Well, this movie, when you see it, man, something else happened, and it was done very quickly, and it was done very, very strong. But I will say that it's probably, again, it's the most authentic Western ever made. John Ford didn't make those couldn't compare to it. All of, Clint Eastwood's spaghetti westerns, every Western that's ever been made in the United States, around the world, none of them. They tried to get, I remember Warren Beatty tried to get Reds, the movie he made about the Russian revolution, and to become historic, because he had used so many people making it historically accurate, and but they couldn't get the United States Historical Society to give them that kind of accolade, that kind of say, yes, this is historically so accurate that this becomes a document, but it doesn't bend any moment in time. It's as if we had taken cameras back to 1901, and the movie had been a documentation of documentary.
And the Academy does screenings of it all the time. The Academy does screenings of Ballad of Gregorio Cortez, so just keep an eye on them, because they do them at least once a year. Let's have another question.
Hello, my name is Eliseo Garcia, and my question is, what is some of the training or advice that you were given, I'm in my early stages of acting, that helped you prepare for acting for camera? And thank you for being here. Thank
Basically,
you.
I just show up. No, just kidding. For me, I go over the material. I establish something in my brain. I don't think about half the things that I do. It's just whatever comes out organically. I mean, I know the words, I know what's going on, but I just like being organic, because whatever that other actor's gonna throw at me, I'm gonna throw back. I don't like to be predictable, like I said, I just like to let things flow organically. That's, and I do a little salsa dancing right before I show up. I really do. I get me nice and loose, But I don't know, I just do it, I show up.
Elio. Brother, my thing is way different. When I was, like I said, I was a recovering addict, so I jumped into everything, brother. I was doing skit comedy, I was doing stand-up comedy, I was learning how to dance jazz. Anything that was the arts, my mentor made me do that, just to keep me busy. I didn't have much of a vocabulary when I came into because in the barrio you just say, the less you talk, the better it is. That's just the way it is. So I never really talked much. So his thing was every day I had to learn a new word, and then and use it in a sentence every day for like 2 years. And I went to when it came to study, I was going to go to East LA College. And then my mentor said, why be around everybody that looks like you? Go somewhere where it's opposite of you. So I went to Glendale College, all white community school. And I stood out like a sore thumb. But you know what? I had to be good because I was representing us in an all-white school. And I did it, you know? It was good. And you know, the first day, the big day I did, they gave me an award called the Rose of the Award, you know, like the Rose Award. It's still hanging there, it's beautiful, right? But you know what, I wasn't that good, man. I knew this game because I knew everybody's lines, you know what I'm talking about? That's the only reason I got it.
Great question. You do another question?
Hello, my name is Miguel. I'm actually in real estate and ground up construction from a few years ago. My question is for Amos. I was your audience when I was in high school, and when you talked about books, I listened. And you know, just to make the story shorter, and just a couple of mistakes that I made doing a little bit of time, and I got my bachelor's at 29 years old and my MBA at 32. So my question for you is. It's up to, I contributed to almost. So my question is, when I was going to college, you know, I wanted to share a couple of my story to high school kids, junior high school kids. And sometimes they just have to see a brown face and they get inspired. I really don't have to say anything. But, you know, they get inspired and they ask me questions. So I realized, you know, it's hard to talk to a lot of people. You guys have a lot of power to reach out to media and just the people that already look up to you and you talk about books that they're going to listen. So my question is, what happened to the Family Book Festival, that movement of education? Do you see it coming back and what happened to it? Because it was very inspiring.
Are you talking about the book festival? Is that okay? A particular book festival that you were involved with. He wants to know when it's coming back. Is that correct?
Well, it's because you know when you talk, I was a first generation college student, and when you talk about books, I listened. So you know I have a lot of books and I educated myself, and I guess I'm successful because you talk about books when I didn't see college in my life. So how do you see, because you were doing that before, or do you see that doing it again, and everybody here that's in the entertainment business, people are going to look up to you, and if you talk about books and education, you know, you're going to inspire a lot of youth. And that's another way, you know, we can all unite and be educated. So what happened to that movement of Family Book Festival?
What happened to the Books Festival movement that you involved?
The book festival is still going. It happens here at Dominguez Hills College. Also happens in San Diego. It happens also in Chicago, and we got about seven book festivals per year that are around somewhere in the country, and all I can tell you is that I really appreciate you bringing it up. I mean, to me, there's nothing like it. I mean, if you really want to understand yourself the fullest, just sit yourself down quietly and read a book. It really does stimulate the brain in a different way than television or music or anything else. So, I mean, to me, we started this back in 1998, and at the same time I started the Latino International Film Festival, and then same time I started Latino Public Broadcasting, and also look at, to me, the future is us, and we each have to do our part. I've busted my butt, and I'm not a rich man, and I've spent most of my time and energy and money without making any money. 95% of my work is done in nonprofit, and I just give it to the community, and the reason for that, the reason for that is it makes me really strong. I have a lot of self-worth, self-esteem, and self-respect, and that helps me when I'm creating my craft. I'll never forget the first time that happened to me. I was on stage, and at the end of the performance, it was in the theater. When you do theater here, the first weekend you usually have a really nice audience. Your parents come, your friends come, everybody comes. But then after that, the rest of the week it kind of like filters down to maybe 3 or 5 people come to see the show. And you know, I'm talking about brick and stick theaters, you know, like theaters that it's not the Market Forum or, you know, it's the little theaters. And first time I was here was at the Cultural Center, and we finished the performance, and two women came down and they talked to me. They said, "Listen, we're teachers at Roosevelt." I was young. I literally had been maybe 19 years old, and they said, "We'd like you to come to our class at Roosevelt and speak to our kids." And I said, I was embarrassed. I said, "Oh, you know, I go get someone that you know, that's recognizable. You know, no one's gonna know who I am. What am I gonna do? You know?" Go, no. We want somebody that's inside of the process, not somebody that's successful, somebody that's working their way through it. I said, "Well, that's me. I'm definitely working my way through it." So I went there to Roosevelt, and I stood there in the class, and the kids were really, man, just like it stand and deliver, man. They were just like, they just didn't want to be there, and they were not afraid to not give you any attention, and they didn't give you the eyes at all. They would listen to you. You know, I was standing up there, and the teacher was standing behind all the people asking me questions. So now I'm answering and talking to the teacher, and the kids are in between. And I could see that the kids were getting nothing from this. They were being inspired because I wasn't inspiration. I was self-conscious. I was outside of my understanding of, even though I was performing as an actor on stage, this was a different environment. This was not your normal environment. These kids were maybe 2 years younger than me. You know, I was 19 years old. They were like in high school, you know, this is a high school class. And the class finished, they all left, and I said thank you to the teacher. And I went back to my performance that night. Man, I got off the stage that night, and on the stage I felt really strong. I felt really good, and almost like I'd never felt before. You know, a truth that came out. There was a truth and a reality that came out of me that I'd never had before in my performances. And I'd been doing a lot of performances, and I was surprised. And I turned to my fellow actors and said, "Hey man, did you guys have this is a special night for anybody, man?" You know, they looked at me and said, "Oh, it's crazy. No, it's special. No one's here." I mean, no, it was just a normal night, Ed. I go, "Thanks a lot." Because I felt inspired. Well, about a week and a half later, the other teacher comes up and asks me to come to the classroom and talk to them. And so I went to that teacher and I said, "Please don't ask me one question. I don't want you to ask me anything. Just let me talk to the class." And I got up there, and this time I knew that they didn't care about me. They didn't care about themselves. You know, Roosevelt, it was a pretty tough school, and the kids were, you know, they were tough. And so I started to envelop my performance stuff from theater and made it into a performance in respects of talking to them and trying to get their eye contact. And once I had their eye contact, then I would move on to the other two. And I could see the ones I was losing them, and when I had them, and I would talk to them and tell them, you know, I'm here to, you know, to give myself so that you can understand what you're going to face. And then we went through a whole program. And by the time I was done, 45 minutes later, the bell rang and they got up and left. Didn't make a damn difference to them, I'm sure it didn't. They left. And then I went back to work that night. And man, I got up on the stage and the same thing happened. I said, "Son of a gun, that's my secret. This is like, I broke it. I found it. I actually found it." And because I was really good that night. I was truthful. I was honest. I was sincerely inside of my character, and I did a performance that was just, for me, dead serious and dead honest. And you know it when you're on. You know it when you're on. You feel it. runs through you and your whole body. It's amazing. It's why we do it. We search for those moments in time where we can encompass our art form and become. And then in that respect, we're entertaining at the same time you're becoming this, this other human being and this person. And so after that, forget it. I would speak anywhere, anytime, any place. And I went out looking for it. I remember Winnie Jackson over at the South Central Library called me up and said, "Can you come over and speak with the kids, African American community?" And I said, "Yeah." So I went over there, and everywhere I went, when I get done and I come back, I would feel, and it was like my own little secret of knowing the more you give for the day, the more you get back. The more you give, the more you get back. And it became, I thought it was like my own little secret, but then, everybody was doing it. And I advise you to do it, because I gotta tell you right now, when it hits you, when you finally get it, when you finally are out there and you're helping, and then you turn around and you do your own craft, and you feel yourself esteem, yourself worth, it starts to grow, and you feel it in your performance, and whether you're a musician, whether you're a writer, whether you're a painter, whether you're an actor, whatever it is, it helps you, inspires you to become all that you can be. That's all they can ask of me. No one has ever asked me to be better than Al Pacino. Nobody's ever asked me to be better than Dustin Hoffman or De Niro or any of these people. They just ask me to be the best that I can be. And that's it.
Thank you so much for that. You guys, Eddie brought up the Latino Public Broadcasting Fund. There's a ton of resources for filmmakers out there. Look up Latino Public Broadcasting. They give grants from $5,000 to $100,000 to filmmakers, documentary filmmakers. They open up their submissions next year. There's also the East Side Arts Initiative. I'm on the board with that now, and we're going to be taking proposals We're going to be taking proposals for that in October. So there's money out there for you to get your short films made, so that you have a calling card as a filmmaker, and obviously the actors that you hire will help and get promoted then. I'm right now just going to be wrapping up soon. I want to thank Edward James Olmos, Luis Guzman, and Emilio Rivera for letting us know about their journey. I think that helps all of you to understand the work that they do. You have to embrace the struggle, and the struggle is not a bad thing. Embracing the struggle is how you learn, it's how you grow, it's how you connect with people. I wanted to bring up Johnny Ortiz. I know he wanted to, is Johnny here? Johnny Trujillo, why did you call me? Tell me Johnny Ortiz. Johnny Trujillo. Chicano Hollywood right here.
All right. Take a quick picture real quick. Yeah, everybody take a quick picture. All right, give them a big hand.
Thank you so much, you guys, coming out. Edward James Olmos, Luis Guzman, and Emilio Rivera. Thank you.
Big hand to these guys. The Legends panel. The Legends panel. Have a seat, everybody.